Okay. Okay. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, this one. Yes, 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 yes. Alright. We're gonna move on to something fun/funny, I think. I do think this will be fun and or funny. Because this is by someone we've never watched before. So as always, with a new content creator that we're watching, if it goes badly, we may pull shoot and stop it early. This is only at like 8 minutes long, so it's not that long of a video, so I think we'll be okay. But we are gonna take a look at 15 movies that bombed so hard they bankrupted studios. I am intrigued. Like, what movies bombed so completely that the studios themselves went out of business? Because I'm not sure I would have heard of all of these. I probably have heard of a few of these. I'm not sure I heard all of them. But this should be fun. Chat, let's see how, yeah, 15. 15 Sniper. And I'd say this is not the grand total. There's probably more than 15 is my guess. This video is just 15. So, Alex, that's what I'm curious too, is if I'm gonna recognize any. So, chat, buckle up, and let's see if you do recognize any of these movies, if you think they deserve to bomb and or delete the studio.
Hollywood has its fair share of hits, but for every blockbuster, there's a flop waiting in the wings. These 15 movies bombed so hard they didn't just fail at the box office, they took down entire studios with them. Yes, it's hard to believe, but Frank Capra's 5-time Oscar-nominated picture, that's as integral to Christmas as Santa Claus, was largely responsible for bankrupting its studio. Most viewers gave the movie a wide berth upon its original December 1946 release. Having barely managed to recoup their $3.18 million production costs, the fledgling Liberty Films had no option but to accept an acquisition bid from Paramount Pictures.
Wow, that's... No, Peef, no! Nobody... Wait. Nobody better have, and I didn't see it. There was no 100 gifted subs earlier today. No. Unless I missed it, in which case I'm gonna be pissed if no one told me. But no, there was no 100 gifted subs today. Well, yeah, it was yesterday, Peef. Yeah. In Sniper, yeah, here's the thing. They are talking about at the time. It's a Wonderful Life may not have caught on at the time. Today, and probably for the last 30 years, it has become synonymous with Christmas. It has. Like, It's a Wonderful Life has become the quintessential Christmas movie. At the time it released, though, I wouldn't even call it a cult classic, Incognito. It's a Wonderful Life, I think, like, pole vaulted over cult classic. Given how this is, when you say Christmas, this is one of the first things that you think of. But at the time, I suppose, if it's a small studio, they probably, for, production and any marketing, because that's another thing that a lot of people forget, is the marketing costs. It might have been too much for a small studio, and they didn't recoup enough. So that's probably why they sold up to Paramount. It's just, it's amazing to think of. It's amazing to think that this movie was ever not considered a quintessential Christmas movie. Because we all know it is that, but it wasn't always that way. And it's actually so difficult to think of it not being synonymous with the season.
Samuel Bronston Productions spent a fortune recreating the 92,000 square meter Roman Forum that once served as the heart of the ancient city, in turn building Hollywood's largest ever outdoor set. But proving that size doesn't always matter, the Sophia Loren picture only managed to earn back a quarter of its $19 million budget. Just 3 months after its release, Samuel Bronston's very own empire fell into bankruptcy.
Okay, this movie I've never seen, but holy shit, a 19 million budget that probably all went to the set, because that's a big fucking set. Holy shit. Worth it, Revan? Okay, so I have a question for anyone in chat that has seen this movie. Is it a good movie? I'm very curious. Is this a good movie for anybody that may have seen it? Yeah? Okay. Well, of course no CGI back then, Holster. Everything was done practically, of course. Okay, so Potato, you say it's a good movie. It is called The Fall of the Roman Empire. That is what it's called, The Fall of the Roman Empire. Like, it does look like the scope of it is huge. It looks like this was a massive movie in terms of scope and scale. But I guess maybe, we now appreciate massive movie sets and well put together movie sets. Probably because everything is green screen now, so we absolutely appreciate a giant practical set. Back then, they probably didn't appreciate that. They probably thought, why are you pissing away so much money on a huge set? Andrea, I thought they said that It's a Wonderful Life's budget was $3 million earlier in the video. I thought they said it was like a $3 million budget, not $8. Maybe Sniper. I don't know, but they spent so much on the set. They fucked with the finances. It's from the sound bit. The director or whoever was in charge went so extreme with what they wanted with their vision that they just ran wild with the checkbook and had these fucking massive sets built. When if they hadn't done that and just done moderate sets, they probably would have made their money back and more with a standard box office take. But this is a case probably of someone not reining in a director. And this is the result. He went buck wild and said, I want all these sets made because that is my vision for this movie. Nobody reined them in. And the result is they didn't get a box office return that allowed them to break even.
Heaven's Gate boasted a star-studded cast including Christopher Walken, Jeff Bridges, John Hurt, and Willem Dafoe. The movie couldn't have had a better pedigree, but its slow-burning story of a late 19th century battle between European immigrants and native cattle ranchers never sounded like guaranteed box office gold. The budget ballooned to $44 million.
I've heard of this movie. I've heard of the movie. I never saw the movie. Who's the
Heaven's Gate boasted a star-studded cast including Christopher Walken, Jeff Bridges, John Hurt, and Willem Dafoe. The movie couldn't have had a better pedigree, but its slow-burning story of a late 19th century battle between European immigrants and native cattle ranchers never sounded like guaranteed box office.
Okay, it hasn't said what the studio is yet, but yeah, from what I've watched reviews about this movie. And the first and foremost, the movie is fucking long. This movie, as I understand it, is really fucking long. Like, let me check real quick. Yeah, the movie, it's 5.5 hours long. That's how long this movie is. 5.5 hours long. Yeah, and I think they may have had one. That's what did it. Again, this is someone who had this vision of an epic, and nobody reined them in. And they created this giant bloated monstrosity of a movie that no one's gonna sit for. And that's the thing. I don't know if Lawrence of Arabia is longer or not. But the problem is, it was a slow burn, but it was too slow of a burn. It was too slow of a burn, and I think it bored people. There was way too much bloat. And that's the problem. I think the director just bloated the fuck out of the movie. And people got bored. There was a lot of nothing going on. Well, I'd say 2.5 hours too much. They probably could have cut it. I would wager they probably could have cut it down to 2.5 hours and still been able to tell the story they wanted to tell. But it's like great cast, and I believe the acting done in it was good. It's just too fucking long. Way too fucking long. And I don't think that the story was enough to capture people's attention for that long of a time. Unfortunately.
Gold. The budget ballooned to $44 million.
Yeah, like there's like this right here where they're showing. No, hang on, shit. I jumped past it. Hang on. This part right here, that's like a gunfight. I'm pretty sure this gunfight that they have itself is like, I want to say it was like 30 minutes, I heard? That, like, this is like a big climactic gunfight. And I think it lasted like 30 minutes of real time. Legitimately, I think like 30 minutes of real time for this single gunfight. And it was just like, it's not like it was an exciting gunfight or anything. It was just long and drawn out. And there's where your failure is.
Budget ballooned to $44 million, 6 times more than its original estimated cost. Disastrously,
Jesus.
It recouped just $3.5 million.
Oh, wow. That is a failure. That is a fucking failure. $44 million budget. Made 3. Fucking hell. That's a loss of $41 million. Back then, because this was... When was this? 1980. $41 million loss in 1980. That is massive. Absolutely fucking massive. And hi, K-Dog. How you doing? Like nowadays, losing $41 million, fuck, Disney's lost 2, 3, 4 times that in recent years. But for 1980, a $41 million loss? And by the way, the $44 million budget for this movie may or may not include marketing. Remember, for typical marketing, you usually have to double the production budget. The marketing cost for a movie is typically about the same as the production budget, perhaps slightly less. So don't forget about that. So it's more than likely that they lost more than 41 million. They probably lost double that after factoring in marketing costs.
Causing United Artists to go bankrupt and to subsequently be sold off to MGM. Larger-than-life entertainment impresario Lou Grade once famously remarked that it would have been cheaper to lower the Atlantic than recreate the titular vessel and raise the Titanic.
Wow.
He probably had a point. ITC.
Okay, does anybody know about this movie, Raise the Titanic? From 1980? Does anybody know this movie? I've never heard of it. It's an awesome movie. Okay. I've never heard of this before. It's actually okay, so I'm getting several people in chat that are saying that they've heard of it and it's actually a really good movie. Okay?
Entertainment spent $40 million on the film, most of it on the impressive scale model of the ship. While the spectacle of raising the Titanic was worth seeing, the rest of the movie didn't live up to the hype, earning only $7 million at the box office. The financial failure forced ITC to sell off its distribution arm to avoid sinking entirely.
Okay, so Peef, I'm going to look into that. Don't worry. I got you, fam. I'm gonna look into it. Alright, so Chan was seeing this. The narrator just said that the scene where the Titanic was actually raised was impressive. Was very impressive. But the rest of the movie was slow. Can you confirm or deny this? Like, putting the scene of the Titanic actually being raised, putting that aside, was the rest of the movie good? Xanax, you said it was. Okay. Okay, I'm getting a lot of yeses. When did you see it? When did you see it? For those of you that are championing the movie, when did you see it? Remember, this came out in 1980, so when did you have the opportunity to watch the movie? That's because this is a key factor here. 2014, okay. What about the rest of you? Like 2000s, did we see it? Or was it like back during 1980? Like, when did you first see it? Where you're saying, you're saying like it was a good movie. Mid-90s, had on TV in the aughts. No, Incognito, dude, it's not the DiCaprio version. 90s, okay. So, by the time you guys saw it, it's had at least 10 years to cook. So, I'd say it went into cult classic status. When it released in theaters, it probably was not, it was a movie that people at the time were not interested in. Because again, this was before it was found. This is before before the Titanic movie. So, let's be honest. James Cameron, when he did his exploration and when he did the movie, he drummed up a brand new, fresh love and appreciation of the Titanic and its story. Exactly. He made it popular, so then this movie could thrive amidst that popularity. That was not present at the time it was made, and so people were just like, I don't give a shit. Now, with the hindsight, or the cult classic status, where the Titanic had become popular again, now people were liking it. So,
Francis Ford Coppola's first movie of the 80s undoubtedly looked good. The filmmaker spent the majority of its then colossal $27 million budget on pioneering visual techniques and a faithful recreation of Nevada's McCarran International Airport. But fans of his earlier testosterone-fueled work were left completely baffled by a candy-colored Vegas musical rom-com, and the film only pulled in a dismal 630.
This was a rom-com? I didn't think Francis Ford Coppola did rom-coms. I'd never seen it either. I've never even heard of it. That's interesting. Maybe it's because we're seeing a lot of movies. Yeah, because this was 81. We're seeing a lot of movies that I think could be classified as, for the most part, as for like ahead of its time. That's why I'm getting that feeling. A lot of these movies so far, possibly with the exception of the Heaven's Gate movie, a lot of these are feeling like they were made during the wrong time period. That's what I'm thinking right now. What made you art, Tanashi? Like, it's Francis Ford Coppola. How is he going to do a rom-com in Vegas? Because the cutscenes we're seeing here don't look rom-comish. So, I don't know.
$88,000 at the box office. Coppola's own studio, Zoetrope, never recovered from the gigantic loss, and in 1992 it filed into bankruptcy. After a series of flops, the Lad Company was expecting
The Right Stuff is a flop? I had no idea The Right Stuff was considered a flop. I had no idea. Holy shit. Yeah, and again, we are into cult class. Yeah. Again, this was made at the wrong time, and it's the cult classicness of it brought it back.
Space race tale, The Right Stuff, to reverse their commercial fortunes. But despite 4 Academy Awards and near universal critical acclaim, the 1983 picture fell $6 million short of recouping its $27 million budget. Although the first Police Academy movies gave the studio a brief reprieve, the Lad Company's earlier way-off-the-mark predictions proved to be too significant to overcome. When the studio was no longer aligned with Warner Brothers, its 3 founders essentially opted to put the company into hibernation for more than a decade.
Wow. And can I just point out, notice they said despite it winning, what, 4 awards? 4 Emmy Awards? Or Academy Awards? Bearing in mind, this also proves how the Oscars are fucking meaningless. Yeah, it won 4 Oscars. It goes to prove that even back then, the Oscars were fucking meaningless. They mean absolutely nothing, and it was literally just an excuse. Yeah, even back then, it's just an excuse for Hollywood to pat themselves on the back and say, look at how wonderful we are. It means fuck all in terms of how popular a movie actually is. And that trend continues today, because this thing won 4 Oscars and flopped. This goes to show you. The Oscars, Academy Awards, Emmys, they do not mean a fucking thing whatsoever. Because it's all done in-house. It takes no consideration into if people actually like the movie. Which means winning the award doesn't mean a fucking thing for how good your movie is. It is not a metric whatsoever for how good a movie actually is.
Former Disney executives James L. Stewart and Rich Irvine hit the ground running with their Aurora Productions company's first venture that grossed twice its budget in 1982. But their live-action output struggled to replicate this early success, as their next 4 films all flopped pretty hard. By 1990, the company was pinning all its hopes on a $6 million volleyball dramedy starring Thomas C. Howell titled Side Out. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this...
Okay. And Thomas C. Howell. Okay, I didn't even recognize... I was trying to figure out who that was. That's Thomas C. Howell. God, does he look young. Wow, does he look young in this. Holy shit. That is a very young Thomas Howell. I know. Well, no. God, but I'm talking about like when they first showed like this, his walking up thing. I was trying to think like, who is that? And that's who it was. I didn't even recognize him.
6th feature failed to stop.
And I was looking at her too. I'm trying to place her. She actually looked familiar. And I cannot fucking place her. Does anybody know who the actress is? Actually, let me look it up. Let me look her up. Courtney Thorne Smith? That's who it was. Holy shit, it was Courtney Thorne Smith. Okay. That's what I remember her from. This is what I remember her from. I remembered her from summer school. She's the character in summer school where she falls in love. That's who she is. She's the character. Where is she? She's the one that falls in love with Mark Harmon's character and starts getting all housewifey with him. Like, she comes from like a broken home. He lets her crash at his place, I think, and she starts getting all housewifey with him. That's what I remember her from. Holy shit. Yeah, okay. Okay. What about Shawnee Smith? Wait, where did Shawnee Smith come into play? Red Bastard, where did you see Shawnee Smith? Was she? Oh shit, you're right, she was! Yeah, she was! Right there! Son of a bitch! Huh! I totally forgot about that.
Stop the Rot, raking in just over $400,000 and sending Aurora Productions into bankruptcy.
Oh god. 400, Jesus.
The knives were already out before the film even made it to cinemas thanks to a
boy. How many people saw Cutthroat Island? I didn't see this. But how many people did? Did you? Like, from what I have heard from people, it's actually not that bad of a movie. I've heard plenty of people say that they enjoyed it. That it was a fun, swashbuckling movie. That's what I've heard. I've heard plenty of people say that, but I guess they just, this was what, probably about, when did the first Pirates movie come out? Was that 2001? When Curse the Black Pearl came out? Is that when Curse the Black Pearl came out? 2003. Yeah, 2003. So, it came out 8 years too early. People were not on the pirate and swashbuckling trend. It wasn't until Johnny Depp exploded out in the scene with Jack Sparrow that people were all in on the pirates and the swashbuckling again. It was 8 years too early, unfortunately.
Troubled production, where everything from the casting to the script was constantly made to walk the plank. Cutthroat Island missed the domestic top 10 entirely in its opening weekend, eventually crawling to a $10 million gross on a whopping $98 million budget. Dubbed Hollywood's biggest ever flop by the Guinness World of Records, the movie drove Coralco Pictures, the studio that brought us...
I have to wonder if that's changed. The biggest flop by the Guinness Book of Records, because let me hear what the loss was again.
Cutthroat Island missed the domestic top... Casting to the script was constantly made to walk the plank. Cutthroat Island missed the domestic top 10 entirely in its opening weekend, eventually crawling to a $10 million gross on a whopping $98 million budget. Dubbed Hollywood's biggest ever flop by the Guinness World of Records, the movie drove Coralco...
Oh, dubbed at the time. At the time, it was the biggest flop. This has been overtaken by many movies in recent years as the biggest flop. Yeah, they spent some money making this movie. They did. What about Firefly? What about Firefly? Well, okay. Altorcine, Muppets Treasure Island was a very different movie. Muppets Treasure Island was a movie made for kids. That was specifically made for kids. This was supposed to be for adults. So you're talking about a very different genre in play there. Hey, so Incognito, no, I'm gonna disagree with that. Firefly was like a spaghetti western in space. I would not say it's like a pirate show in space. It is far more like a spaghetti western than a pirate show. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, it was absolute. Hell, Joss Whedon made it as a Western in space. That's how he crafted the show. He deliberately did that as a Western in space.
Pictures, the studio that brought us Terminator 2 and Total Recall, into bankruptcy. Having rescued his career from the doldrums with Pulp Fiction,
John fucking hell, this one. Okay, I did not realize Battlefield Earth bankrupted its fucking studio. But, oh god, this was fucking Dutch Angle the movie. Oh yes, it does. It absolutely does, Rat Bassett. It absolutely does. But number one, this was Dutch Angle the movie, because every shot was literally a fucking Dutch angle. And it was also Scientology the movie, because the whole concept of Battlefield Earth was Scientology. 100%. L. Ron Hubbard made this movie. This was L. Ron Hubbard's movie. And it was, the Xylons are the evil aliens from Scientology. Not simply tied into it, Peef. It was basically made from Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard took his tenets of Scientology, namely like the Xylons, and put them into a movie. No, not Cylons, Xywans. It's like, I don't even know how it's spelled. Yeah. I think it's Xywans. Basically, Elron, because, Revan, don't forget, John Travolta was their number 2 big Scientology celebrity. Yeah, I think it was XYLONS, perhaps. Hang on. Nope, if I could spell. I need a new keyboard. Cyclos! Cyclos, that's what it was. Cyclos. Yeah, that's what they were called. Cyclos, not Xywans. Cyclos. Yeah, but this was like, basically, the Cyclos are like the evil aliens that Scientology believes in, and when you get audited, they're scanning you for these Cyclos. Like, when they do their bullshit auditing, that's what they're scanning for. So yeah, like, this movie is essentially like the teachings of Scientology in movie format. Which guy? You talking about L. Ron Hubbard? If you're talking about L. Ron Hubbard, not only is he the founder of Scientology, he basically was writing books back in like the 80s, called Dianetics and shit like that, which was what started, which was the foundation of Scientology. His books of like the one I'm familiar with, not that I've read it, but I've heard of, is Dianetics. Well, here's the thing, Peef. No, he's not a science fiction writer. He was writing the shit like it was reality. Dianetics, the book he came out with, that is the tenets of Scientology. In fact, he forces the people that are in Scientology are forced to read and keep a copy of Dianetics with them all the fucking time. It is literally required reading. So, and before he became the father of Scientology, he was a naval officer. He was in the Navy before he started Scientology. When he left the Navy, was he a science fiction writer? I don't remember hearing him writing about any kind of science fiction. The only thing I ever remember hearing him writing about is the Dianetics book. And I think a couple others after that. I never heard about any fiction. He's a failed science fiction writer. Okay, that's probably why I never heard of him. Yes, also, Tom Cruise is Scientology's favorite son. 100%. Tom Cruise is that religion's favorite son, and John Travolta is their second favorite son. That's why he starred in it. because he is a big Scientologist also. They probably didn't, and they probably didn't want, I don't know why Tom Cruise didn't start it. Tom Cruise probably said, yeah, this one's actually not going to do good for my career, so he managed to convince them not to do it. What's Dutch angle? See this image? They're probably going to show in the clips. You see this angle, how they're not standing straight up and down, like the camera is tilted slightly at an angle instead of showing it straight up and down? That's referred to as a Dutch angle. And this slightly tilted camera frame is literally in every single shot of Battlefield Earth. Every shot is at a Dutch angle, either to the right or to the left. Yeah, well, it's supposedly it would create tension or a feeling of unease, unless you use it in every shot.
Travolta then squandered it again 6 years later with his self-indulgent love letter to Scientology. To add insult to injury, he even put $5 million of his own money into the unintentionally...
Yeah, you see? Every fucking shot. Look at all the shots.
It again 6 years later.
Dutch angle, Dutch angle, Dutch angle, Dutch angle,
insult to injury,
Dutch angle, Dutch angle. They're all Dutch angles.
Into the unintentionally hilarious project. Battlefield Earth only covered the first half money.
And unfortunately, I talked over the narrator, so I will shut my mouth.
Travolta then squandered it again 6 years later with his self-indulgent love letter to Scientology. To add insult to injury, he even put $5 million of his own money into the unintentionally hilarious project. Battlefield Earth only covered the first half of Ron Hubbard's novel. A record-breaking Razzie haul and a financial loss of $44 million quickly squashed to the idea of a sequel. And Studio Franchise Pictures ended up in court and ultimately faced insolvency. Fox Animation, fresh off...
Wait! Titan AE bombed? Wait! Wait, 87 hours... Wait, whoa. 87 hours later, I have 100% of Dragon Age Veilguard. I feel like these studios a little. Tracel? You 100% at Dragon Age Veilguard. Chat! Chat, attention please. Attention please, chat. 07's in chat for Dracel for making that grand sacrifice for all of us. 07's in chat for Dracel. Good sir, we salute your sacrifice. Thank you. Nobody died diabetes. Dracel just said that 87 hours in, he finished, he 100% of Dragon Age Veilguard, so we are 07ing him. He's getting 07s for making the sacrifice of 100%ing Dragon Age Veilguard. Yeah, I thought Titan was pretty good. You know, the CGI, as you can see, like the CGI was kind of nascent CGI. So the CGI was okay, as I remember it. The story was okay. The music was fucking on point. I love the fucking music, because the music works so well. There are like 2 or 3 songs in this movie that are just fucking bangers that I absolutely loved. Yeah, it was a good movie. I enjoyed watching it. I didn't think it bombed and bankrupted the studio, though.
Off the success of Anastasia, seemed poised for greatness, but just 3 years later, they were on the brink of collapse. Titan AE, their final film, was a post-apocalyptic sci-fi adventure that stumbled into theaters already looking...
Yeah, it had, I think it was Matt Damon in the title role. It had Drew Barrymore, and he is a co-star. And it had, what's his fucking name? Oh god, what is his name? Fuck, I can't think of his name now. The guy who played the president in Independence Day. For the life of me, I'm blanking on his name. Shit. Damn it, what is it? Boo Pullman. Thank you, rat bastard. And Yeah, thank you for the gifted. Yes, Bill Pullman. See, and Matt Damon, Drew Barrymore, and Bill Pullman in like the title roles. And they did a good job. They did a good job voice acting in it. I liked it. I thought it was a great movie. Like the ending was funny. Like for those of you that saw it, like okay. Quick and dirty plot synopsis. Aliens blow up Earth. Some humans are able to escape in a ship called Titan. So they escape into space. Humans are basically now an endangered species and are scattered to the four wind, or they're scattered across the galaxy. They are looked upon as like third or fourth rate life forms. And the whole purpose is to try and get the Titan again, because the Titan actually is basically a seed ship that can create a new Earth. It can create a new planet that's like Earth. And in the end, I thought this was kind of funny. They do it. They succeed. And Matt Damon's character is, because it's his father's ship, because his father made the ship. They ask him, Drew Barrymore says, what are you going to call it? And he says, I'm going to call it Bob. Planet Bob. That's what the new Earth is called. It is called Bob. And no, Falcon, I never got to see a Treasure Planet.
Doomed. Despite A-list voice talent like Drew Barrymore and Matt Damon, it only managed to pull in $37 million, not even covering half its budget. The disappointing performance led 20th Century Fox to quickly shut down the animation studio, cutting.
Yeah, you can't call Planet Bob, so now you're the boss, you're the king of Bob. Can't we just call it Earth? No one has to live there. No one said you have to live on Bob. I've never called it. Yeah, that's the ending line, Zigdarbito. Yep.
Ties just a week after the film's release. The Spirits Within is widely considered to be one of.
Which one of you guys in chat called this one? Yep, Did Final Fantasy Acts actually bankrupt Square Enix Films? Because it was Square Enix Films that did this, wasn't it? What was the studio that did this film? What studio did this? And yeah, that's the thing, Incognito. It was Final Fantasy in name only, really. It's Squaresoft. Okay, Squaresoft. Okay, Squaresoft. Yeah, and that's the key. This was Final Fantasy in name only. It didn't really feel like a Final Fantasy movie. Yes, there were two actual Final Fantasy VII based movies. Advent Children and I forget what the other one was. Because I didn't see the other one. I saw Advent Children, I did not see the other one. Advent Children actually, I'm gonna tell you something. Advent Children actually bothered me because the characters were beating the fuck out of each other the whole movie and no one died.
Final Fantasy was supposed to be the beginning of the virtual movie star.
Really? Okay. Good effort. Didn't work. Yeah, Advent Children, it was fine. But like, the characters were all beating the fuck out of each other and doing these big heroic, I'm gonna like sacrifice myself in this explosion. And then 3 scenes later, they pop up like, hi, I'm fine, let's fight. It's like, what the fuck? Like, no one died. Even when shit's happening where it's like, okay, that character should be fucking dead. And they didn't die. So that kind of annoyed me with Advent Children. Is that nonsense. And then as far as the Spirits Within as a movie was fine. I think they went a little too existential. Honestly, the problem with doing a Final Fantasy movie that is only like 2 hours long, that does not, like, Advent Children had the benefit of the games as its source material. So everybody seeing Advent Children went in knowing about the franchise, knowing about Final Fantasy VII franchise and everything that went with it. They had a whole fucking game to build that up. Spirits Within did not have that option, so you have a fuck ton of lore that makes no goddamn sense. This needed some sort of source to set up this movie. Because they were talking about stuff in the movie that, for someone going in, anybody that saw the movie the first time was like, this makes no fucking sense. What are these things? How did they come to be? None of this makes any goddamn sense. And yeah, it probably would have, like, if they did it as a series, it probably would have done much better because they could have built in that lore. They could have worked up that lore. But in the span of like an hour and a half, 2-hour movie, it didn't work because you didn't have the ability to create that lore.
Of the few video game movies that doesn't completely taint the legacy of its 32-bit.
No. Fuck no. This is not a video game movie. This is not a movie actually based on the video game. It is borrowing the franchise title. But this was never a video game. So that's all it was. It was Squaresoft capitalizing on the franchise name, and that's it.
Source material, and it earned a respectable $85.1 million at the box office, too. But with approximately 200 people working painstakingly for 4 years to bring world-saving scientist Dr. Sid and Aki Ross to photorealistic life, its costs soared to more than $137 million, leaving production company Square Pictures squarely in the red.
Uh-huh.
After Space Jam, Warner Brothers tried to bring
Oh,
Bugs Bunny
God.
and the crew back to the spot.
Okay. Chat, want to hear something funny? I tried to watch this movie. I tried to watch Looney Tunes Back in Action. You know what happened? I fell asleep. I fucking fell asleep during this movie. Like from the very beginning. And yes, Revan, Brendan Fraser 100% deserved better. It deserved a better career than this. That is a whole other fucking thing. That is a whole other. Hollywood is just a steaming big pile of shit. But I just flat out fell asleep during this movie. At the very beginning of it. That's how bored I was with it.
Spotlight with Looney Tunes Back in Action. But despite giving the iconic character center stage, the film grossed just $68.5 million on an $80 million budget, showing that the appetite for retro animation had waned. Production was
not as bad of a loss as I thought. That actually, from a financial standpoint, it actually did a little bit better than I thought it would.
shut down on the new shorts, and in 2004, Warner Brothers feature animation was folded. New Line Cinema were no doubt hoping to launch a money-spinning Harry Potter-style franchise with their adaptation of Philip Pullman's The Golden Compass. They certainly threw enough money at the project, a studio record of $180 million to be exact. And looking at its worldwide box office take of $372 million, you might have
I will say, this movie had an interesting premise. This one actually, like, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I saw it. It was fine. I thought it was fine. I do think that the premise behind it was interesting, where every human was tied to an animal. And it was basically in a different dimension, and they brought in a human from our dimension into theirs. So it was a very interesting premise. And unfortunately, this movie couldn't go anywhere with it, but they did create a series a couple of years ago on Amazon. And I have no idea how well that did, but they did try to bring it back in a new series.
expected them to make a tidy profit. Unfortunately, to help finance the movie, bosses had signed away the film's international rights, and with only $70 million of its gross coming from domestic territory, New Line was forced to get into bed with Warner Brothers Pictures just to survive. Remember when Nicolas Cage movies still made it to theaters?
This bombed? I thought Bangkok Dangerous was actually a decent movie. I thought this was actually pretty good. Like, I liked Bangkok Dangerous. I liked it. It was a very sad ending too. I didn't like the fact that you knew that I didn't like the fact that Nicolas Cage died in the end. But I thought that this was I always thought that this was a really good movie.
Theaters. Bangkok Dangerous actually topped the US box office in 2008, though it did so with the lowest total since Dickie Roberts, former child star, 5 years earlier. The contract killer thriller quickly plummeted, ending with a disappointing $15 million domestic gross. Even with an international boost of $27 million, it couldn't cover its budget. The flop led to the closure of its co-production company, Virtual Studios.
I actually kind of want to see this again now. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. I actually want to see it again.
As its backers moved on to other ventures. When it comes to box office disasters, Mars Needs Moms is in a league of its own.
I heard about this.
Performance capture animation cost $150 million to produce.
I don't think it was a top performer. Hang on.
Age movies still made it to theaters. Bangkok Dangerous actually topped the US box office in 2008, though it did so with the lowest total since Dickie Roberts.
Okay, so it topped the box office at the time. So just because it topped the box office when it released doesn't mean it actually made its money back. It's two different metrics. So, yeah. Is it Falcon? Okay.
To produce, yet failed to recoup even a third of this figure at the worldwide box
I heard
office.
this movie was really
fucking bad. Not only did this make the Alien Abduction Tale co-producers Walt Disney's biggest ever financial loss, but it also caused Robert Zemeckis' Image Movers production company to pull the plug on its digital offshoot after just 2 releases.
Oh wow. That's unfortunate. Well. Very, very interesting. Okay. So some of these we knew. Some of these we knew, some of these we didn't. And obviously, we had thoughts. We had thoughts. I'd like that. That was very interesting. And brought back some memories. It did. It brought back some memories.